how was your summer? What'd you do? Did you go on any trips? Just take us through your summer.
Summer was good. Obviously played the Worlds again, which was fun. Had another good team. Stack tournament, obviously everybody trying to get ready for Olympics, so it's fun playing against the best players in the world. Had another good tournament, I thought. Quarterfinals, close game against Switzerland, 1-goal game. So that was fun. I always tried to use the Worlds a little bit to just enjoy the game of hockey. I think I'm so routine bound, and sometimes I get almost too dialed in a little bit throughout as the season goes on, and I just try to loosen up a bit, get out of my routines to just enjoy. It's just 7-8 games to enjoy the game of hockey and have some fun with some of the guys that I obviously don't see the whole year. So that was good, and then a little vacation in the Dominican Republic with two of my best friends. After that, split the summer between Minnesota and Germany. Obviously, my fiance and I, we recently bought a home in Minneapolis, so kind of made that our home base. And the joys of home ownership is that you always have something to do around the house the whole summer. I think I placed an Amazon order every day. I'm not even kidding. There's always something that you need. And then, the good part about that was that I got to hop on the ice pretty much right away after Worlds, so no big break. Takes a while till we get ice in Augsburg in the summer, not till the last week of July usually. And I didn't want that long of a break to get back on the ice, so that was kind of it. Pretty much split the summer between Minnesota and Germany.
The theme of camp has been the pace and and a lot of the skating. I can't speak for the other guys, but I feel like you always are one of the guys who's always go, has great conditioning. Not to get you to brag or anything, but do you feel like you're kind of ready for this type of camp? And if so, how's your body reacting to it?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, last year, towards the end, I had some problems with my back, and that was something that I focused on this summer, was to become a little bit more of a mobile athlete. So my mobility, my back, my groin, my hips, to get that ready for the season. Obviously, it's not a secret. Like next summer I turn 30. So as you get older, you gotta shift your focus a little bit more from the strength and the speed side of things to just being able to play 82 games the whole year. So and obviously I take great pride in how I come in the summer, and I want to use the conditioning and the camp to make a good first impression for myself. And my standards for myself when it comes to testing are very high. I want to be, best on the team at whatever test we do. That's what I want to do, because that's, like you said, that's the base for the game that I play. And Warsaw, the coaching staff, Gracie, first day of camp or the meeting before, they made sure that I think the testing to the skate test that we did is kind of, there's a certain standard, a certain base that everybody needs to have in order for us to play the style of game that Warsaw is going to try to put his stamp on us. And you need certain requirements when it comes to conditioning, strength, etc. for that. And so obviously the first 2 days, you guys have seen it, it's hard. It's a very hard camp, probably the hardest 2 days of camp that I've had so far. Yeah.
Can you say, in terms of the style of game, what's going to be different?
Yeah, obviously early to say. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is to keep it simple. I think that's when the puck comes in our D zone, and obviously our D zone has been our biggest struggle the last 2 years, is that everybody knows every time the puck comes in our D zone what our plan is, and that's to get the hell out of our zone. We don't want to play in our zone, and again, in order for that to happen, you need to have a certain conditioning requirement, because you want to get back and want to be first on puck, get the puck out right away. Usually tendency in the NHL or in pro hockey in general is that once the puck is stopped up, you're kind of screwed. You're going to spend the next 25, 30, 35 seconds in your own zone. You want to avoid that, trying to get the puck out with the first touch, 1-2 passes, get out of your zone. I think when it comes to neutral zone, offensive zone, I'm sure we'll talk about that as well as camp goes on, but that's a lot more instinct driven. We have the type of players that are good enough offensively to make plays. The biggest thing I think is, and we mentioned this at the end of last year in exit meetings, and obviously going into this camp, is that we have to figure out how we get out of our own end.
Is that the biggest key to cut down on the goals against, especially 5-on-5, is just taking care of the puck?
Yeah, I think we have the roster quality in terms of we obviously not going to score 6-7 goals every game, but I think we have plenty of quality on the roster to score maybe 3 every game. If you give up 5 every game, not going to win a whole lot of hockey games. I thought that was our obviously you look at the last 2 years, just too many games where we didn't even have a chance to win a hockey game because we weren't in the game. Another thing is that we tended to give up goals very quickly, consecutively. We didn't give up 1 goal, and then usually 2 minutes later we gave up another one. Those are big issues for us the last 2 years, and I trust when you look at the roster of people that Grizzy and mentioned probably in the summer, that we're going to have the quality up front to score plenty of goals, but our base has to be our defensive side of the game, and we need everybody to be committed to play that game, not just the bottom 6 guys, first 2 lines as well.
That wavered a little bit last year. I mean, maybe some guys just weren't. I
think it's hard to. It's human nature that when you have a lot of guys in your organization that are, UFAs, that are on 1-year deals, they're older veterans, they know the game, they know they might be gone at the trade deadline. It's a lot harder, and I think that's just human to be bought into a long-term plan of the team and how we want to play, and not be worried about yourself, your own stats, your own contract, whatnot, when you might be gone in 5 months. And so I think we've done a good job here of kind of sifting through, those kind of guys and making sure that everybody is bought in long term. And you see the young core that we got, that we drafted. Those are guys that are going to be here 10 years, and so it's a lot easier to buy into something when you're going to be here long term.
With that in mind, I'll talk about supporting Celebrini and Smith and these guys. They're not on the ice, but how important is it to sort of set the right example with those habits on the ice for those guys to sort of watch and learn from?
I think they'll be fine when it comes to on ice stuff. I think skill and shots. I think Mac Schmidt might be able to teach me a couple of things. That's their game, and I want them. As an older guy, I want them to feel comfortable to come to the rink every day, and not feel like they're walking on eggshells or they can't be themselves. Joke around with the guys, be loose, get all the hype and the attention and the interviews and the media stuff. Trying to get that out of the way, and then just have fun and focus on your rookie season. You only have one, and I remember from my first year is that there tends to be a little bit of a honeymoon period almost, where everything's very exciting and you feel good and your body feels good, and then maybe December, January, February rolls around, you're 50, 60 games in, and in college you only play 45, 50 games tops if you get lucky, and sometimes you tend to hit a wall there in your first pro hockey year, and we'll be there. We have plenty of older guys, Granny, Connie, Goody, me, to help those guys. I think that's more what we're here for, the stuff on the ice, and they'll be fine.
What is the center depth? Last year that was kind of the big. It was kind of the big emphasis where there were injuries with Logan and Mikhail to start the year. And now Logan's still out, but Mikhail's here. You're here. Then you bring in guys like Wenberg and Celebrini and Smith. Like that depth is just rebuilt. How much is that going to benefit not only just you kind of staying in a role and creating some chemistry, but just as a team having that position be there?
Obviously, last year we didn't play one game with the center depth that that they had planned on, and it's tough. It's probably the toughest position to play in the NHL. You play against the best players in the circle. You got to play down low. You got to play a 200-foot game. You got to get across the ice at a high pace, and so playing center is hard. You might be able to fill a guy in there for 1 or 2 games, but doing it on a consistent basis is a lot harder. So there's always injuries, like we said last year, and it's good knowing that you have another 1 or 2 guys that can, Deli too, can fill in. Goody can play center. That can just, we have a guy that's injured, next man up can pop in there and fill that role. I think that's plenty good to have as the season goes on.
We've talked about faceoffs, you and I. I know you talked about Nick Bonino helping you out,
Yeah.
Barclay Goodrow being out.
Yeah.
Barclay's back now.
Yeah.
How much beneficial with a young
That's
team
good.
is
Yeah.
winning face-offs and having those types of players, and Alex, who's a very good two-way center, can you guys benefit where, not to say where the young kids need to go, don't worry about defense, go play offense, but just kind of be able to round out
for
that
sure.
side of the game because they know they've got
Yeah,
backup.
That's for sure that's going to be part of the plan. We're going to take those tough assignments in our D zone, and we want those guys with the skill and the good shots to play in the offensive zone. That's just the way it is, and like we talked about earlier, we want to get out of our zone, and it's a lot easier to get out of your zone when you win the first draw, snap it back. 5-6 seconds later, puck's out of your own zone. You maybe lose the draw. You might get hemmed in for another 25 or 30 seconds. So yeah, faceoffs are huge, and it's good that we have a good depth of good faceoff guys.
You talked about Macklin's skill and shot,
Yeah.
but you've played one scrimmage against him.
Yeah.
Have you noticed his two-way, can you talk about that, his defensive game?
Yeah, I think he's a very, very composed young man in general, not just when it comes to the hockey player. A lot of times young guys have to mature a little bit as they come into the league, and he seems very, very self-driven, very aware of himself, and knows that in order to play a successful center role in the NHL, you can't just be all offense. I think the comparisons that you've read a lot is with Taves. I think a lot of people compare his style of game. That's a good comparison to have, right? So he'll be fine. Like I said, the biggest thing is for him to get comfortable, to feel like he can just play his game. That's what we're here for.
You guys support these young guys when they go through some adversity, like all rookies normally do, just go through some matches where things aren't going in, and how does this group sort of support those guys?
One thing is that you can't simulate it like it's experience. You just have to get through it. Especially I think for players like Mac or Smitty, they want to score. They want to be on the score sheet every game. They want to have assists and goals. And you look at the best players in this league, the Crosbys, McKinnons, Draisaitls. Sometimes they go. It's rare, but sometimes even those guys, they go 5-6 games without a goal. It's like tough for those kind of players not to get frustrated when that's the core of the game. And it's like, you take him aside and you try to teach him that those stretches are going to be normal. You're going to experience those stretches, and you still have to find a way in those 5 or 6 games to help the team in another way. If you're not going to score, be solid, sound defensively. Not hurt the team defensively in those games. You tend to try to force those goals, force those assists, and the harder you try, a lot of guys will tell you that the harder you try, they don't come. And all of a sudden, the D-man puts one on your shin pad, and the next 4 games you have 5 or 6 goals. That's just the way it goes. And for them to find other ways to contribute to our success, not just goals and assists, because that's not what the NHL is all about. It's very, very important. But like you said, it's good that Mac is a 200-foot center. Find different ways to contribute.
My career, add some size to the blue line. All these draft picks are big dudes. I mean, was it important for this team? Is it important for this team to add some size?
Yeah, we got pushed around the last 2 years a little bit. Sometimes goalies will get clipped, guys get shoved around a little bit, and on the score sheet get bullied. And so teams probably left those games a little bit too often against us, and they thought that they had way too much fun against us. And it's not about size just or being 220 pounds, but it's to be hard to play against. And what does that mean? For me, it means that the team leaves the ice and they say to themselves, like, that sucked playing against those guys tonight. That sucked. It was really hard. Like, that's where we're gonna get to.
All right, thanks, Nico.
Thank you, Nico. Good to see you again.